Hey Dave, this is my first time actually doing a debrief on video, so anyway, we'll see how we go. I just want to share my full debrief from Garden City, both how the race went and what I've taken from the whole block leading in. Overall summary. Overall, I'm happy with how things went. Early nutrition, hydration, pacing, gear, and heat management were all solid. Um, Unfortunately, the lower back and hip flexor discomfort kicked in early, which definitely affected my form and efficiency, and I think mentally took its toll over the day. Felt like fitness was there. Looking at data, average heart rate was still in the low 120s, um, but I definitely just felt a bit out of whack. So my training and build up, leading in my training was pretty consistent, as you know. Fitting in my strength work and long runs. Enjoyed, especially enjoyed the long trail runs. Um, but as you know, life stress has definitely played a part between family challenges, both here and back in New Zealand. Um, Lots happened last term, but overall, I was pretty happy with my consistency. Maybe giving myself an 8 out of 10. Um, there's always that niggling feeling when I was out there. Did I have enough mileage? But I also really understand the balance of mileage versus fatigue and everything else. So, I absolutely trust the process. Um, Definitely helped the strength work I enjoyed, and I felt like I was getting stronger. I know it's a long game, and it's still pretty early days. Um, that said, there's definitely plenty of warning signs in my lower back and hip flexors. With ongoing tightness, discomfort on most runs. So probably came into the race with that already primed. Um, Excuse me. Let's have some water. Race execution. Um, Sorry, Dave. The first few laps felt good. I ran conservatively. Enjoyed running with Chris, who was the eventual winner, top guy. But early on, the back and the hip tightness appeared, and a lot earlier than I hoped. But it wasn't a surprise. Um, Sort of pain. I just kind of accepted it, and I think lap 4 or 5, I might have taken a couple Panadol, and then kind of worked around every 4 hours with that. Um, Gareth did work on my back a little bit with some deep heat. That kind of just seemed to free it up. Um, but other than that, like the nutrition, hydration went well. Used the ice bandana, which was excellent. So all that stuff, pretty happy with. Like the heat didn't really worry me. Um, I think it was around lap 12 that I wanted to just deal with a couple little hot spots on my feet. So I kind of pushed for a faster lap, and I just really struggled to really go that much faster than I was, um, which definitely put the pressure on the other end. And I think I got into starting corral with about 10 seconds to spare, so that was a bit of a stressful moment. Um, and after that lap, it kind of mentally got me a little bit. I think I was just the frustration that I just couldn't get back, and with enough time, or that's what I kind of felt. So maybe putting a bit too much pressure on myself, and then gradually it just got, the times just kept going out, and in the end, I think lap 13, maybe Gareth brought the chair to the start finish line, so I didn't have to walk back to the tent. So I was starting to get into what they call the red zone. That 56, 57, 58 sort of minute. Um, Overall, I think again mentally, I might have decided subconsciously that I was going to push through to my PB lap 17. Um, so did I leave it all out there? Probably not, to be honest. But I definitely did. I definitely did still push though. Like it definitely wasn't the last few laps um, weren't easy, and I suppose in my head, 17 was a PB, and then the next sort of milestone was 24, and I couldn't get my head around it. So I got ahead of myself. So again, it's a work in progress, but I just couldn't find another gear to get around quicker. Just couldn't run quicker, so that was a bit frustrating. Fueling and hydration. This time I didn't use gels, which worked pretty well. Like rice puddings went well, like Milo sachets, sandwiches. Um, so I used Trail Brew, some Gatorade, which I kind of used early on, and then got rid of that. Just got a bit sickly. Some snakes. So I think later in the race I was probably craving some more savoury food other than sandwiches. So in the past I've had like pizza and zucchini slice, so that's definitely something I'd reconsider for next time. Um, hydration wise, I alternated between Trail Brew, Gatorade water, and some precision hydration sachets, which went pretty well. I did a pretty comprehensive sort of number of sweat tests leading in, so I think I was pretty dialed with my hydration. Like I don't think that was a big factor. Um, Later in the race, gut started to feel a bit yucky, which is understandable. Like when I've been all day, and I think I could have changed things up a little bit and done some laps with water, and so I don't think it's a huge deal, and definitely something I could have tweaked. So overall, I was happy with fuel and hydration, maybe a bit more variety and savoury options late in the race. I did have a chicken soup that I had made beforehand that I forgot to take up, so I did have some packet chicken soup and it just didn't go down well. And also like a ginger beer, I had my normal ginger beer. Gareth brought out a can which is maybe more ginger in it, and that just hit my gut and was not good. So a few little things to reflect on. Biomechanics and pain. Um, yeah, so my lower back was already sore before starting. Probably, lots of sitting in the drive up from Port Macquarie and then out to Toowoomba, and even down in Port Macquarie, it wasn't 100%. So maybe, lifting a few suitcases and just felt fragile and had to be pretty careful. So again, it was a bit frustrating. As I was saying before, it's kind of started as a dull ache. Didn't stop me from running, but I'm sure it did affect my form. Um, and it's the same pattern I've had for a while, that chronic tightness through the hips and back. Post race, like I pulled up pretty well, just the usual stiffness, but it's clear something's still not firing properly, which, I'd really like to get to the bottom of and build a body that can handle this load more efficiently. Recovery and mindset. Physically, I'm recovering well. Like, went to the shops, walking around fine, bit of fatigue, um, mentally a bit low this morning, and there's still that kind of niggly thing of all the work I put into it and still not kind of getting what I wanted, but I'm also, it's still it's still a big effort. Like it's still 115 plus Ks. Not every Joe Blogs can do that. So I think it's still patting myself on the back, but I suppose it's kind of how my mind ticks. Sometimes I still feel there's unfinished business. um, Chatting to Chris a little bit, and the way he goes about his runs, he just looks like he's just going for a Sunday jog every lap. Like doesn't change. Just never looks in a rush. Can change the pace up at any time. Happy to have a chat. Just and his reflection is maybe I put a bit too much pressure on myself. So that's something I can think of. It kind of hit home. And as I was saying, he's calm, steady, and never in a rush, and I'd like to channel more of that. Travel timing wasn't ideal, but that's part of life balance. Big picture, I still have a long way to go with strength and resilience. I really want to run pain-free, feel fluid, and become more efficient. Final reflections and next steps. As I said, I'm proud of my effort and how I handled the race, but there's a little voice saying I can do better, both physically and mentally. And as I settle into my 50s, I want to keep loving running, staying healthy, and still chasing mastery and adventure. Yesterday I said I'd never do another backyard, but today it's a different story. Don't know why. Maybe because I feel, that I haven't cracked it. And I don't know what it's going to take to feel that way, but it just doesn't feel that, I feel like I've still got more on me. And, and then kind of out of all the courses I've done, Dead Cow Gully is definitely the course that I just seem to love and thrive on. So that's definitely something to consider moving to 2026. You know, in the meantime, I'd love to explore what's really driving the lower back and hip tightness. You know, maybe a gait analysis, a reset of my strength plan, a deeper look at my mobility and running form, and I want to build a more balanced, efficient and pain-free stride going forward. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate your support as always. Keen to unpack this together and reset the plan for the next phase. Okay, mate. Take care.